If Mike Dunleavy or someone else in the front office asked you, if you believe that Steph, Clay, and Draymond are capable of making another championship run, what would you tell them?
I would say I believe they can. These guys are all still really damn good players. So hopefully we can re-sign Clay. Draymond and Steph are both under contract. So we're gonna roll it back next year.
Could never see myself, not with those two guys. I understand this league changes and there's so many things that go into it, and we're not going to play forever, but, we've experienced so much together, and at the end of the day, again, I know they want to win, I know I want to win, and that's all I'm worried about.
All right, welcome to Brother from Another, everybody. Michael Smith out today, but our brother from down the hall, Vinny Goodwill, is here. And Vinny, you just heard Steph Curry and Steve Kerr. Well, sequentially, you just heard Steve Kerr and Steph Curry talking about their championship window. And if you listen to Steve Kerr, the championship window is still open. If you listen to Steph Curry, I understand what he has to say, this, Vinny. They both have to say it. I just wonder, I don't know if if there's any good place to hang out in Sacramento, like after the game. Say you stay. Okay, there you go. That answered my question right there. Okay, let's say on the way back to San Francisco from Sacramento, those 80 miles of highway, and you just have a little something you're sipping on and you're just talking freely. These annoying media members are not around, and so you're just saying what you really feel. Do you think, Vinny Goodwill, that Steve Kerr and Steph Curry would say the same things privately that they said publicly last night?
No. I think they'd say the same things. It's just one of those parenthetical answers. He said, can the three of those guys win together? Sure, but what roles do those three guys have? Klay Thompson is no longer a high-level starter for a team with championship aspirations. He is a high-level bench player who can get hot in a pinch and give you 30 minutes and be a spot starter if you have real championship aspirations. Draymond Green is another case. That's an interesting guy. That's one of the most unique players in NBA history. So I think you kind of put him to the side a little bit because you look at his behavior. When you look at his behavior, if he doesn't, swing wildly, if he doesn't put Rudy Gobert in the $1 Million Dream sleeper hold, you know what I mean? The Warriors probably, and I hesitate when I say this. I think you understand when I say this. The Warriors are probably in a better spot than 46 wins. But usually teams go through peaks and valleys. And because the Warriors knew that they didn't have any measure of error to play with, they held one of the top 7 records post-January 31st. But they knew going into that period that we got this ground to make up because of everything that's happened with Draymond. If they don't have that ground to make up, do they cruise a little bit more and then slip a little bit down the stretch? I think they were right where they needed to be. But I think this is a game like last night, Michael, was a great mirror. You ever know what it's like to have somebody put a mirror to your face and you don't like what you see? Woo. And I don't mean like a mirror on a wall. I mean a mirror, something that exposes all of your flaws, all of your faults, the fantasy of what you think you are.
You're getting deep on a Wednesday. It's too deep.
The reality.
I feel exposed. Hey. I feel exposed listening to you talk. Oh man.
But as I wrap this up, last year there was the Draymond Green Jordan Poole thing that hung over the franchise, right? And everybody said, "Oh, it's a dark cloud." And once we get rid of that, and that wasn't a real Warriors year. This year, you don't have that thing that's hanging in the air. Like, yeah, you got some Kumingas and Trace Jackson Davises and guys like that. But as far as championship level players, you don't have that. And these are the chickens coming home to roost from some of those drafts and some of those trades that have not worked in your favor. And you didn't have Steph who could carry you like it was 2022 again. It's over.
Yeah. Okay, there it is. You just said it. It's because I agree with you. It's over. It's over. And so, and I don't say that with celebration. It's just reality, man. These guys had a. I'm going to talk about them in the past tense because Vinny. When I watch, I just go just full disclosure. I did a little something after the show on Monday. My guy Jacob says, "Hey, do a little My Bets Your Money basketball version. Do a little basketball version of My Bets Your Money." I said, "Okay, all right." So Lakers, Pelicans, I picked the Lakers. Against anybody else, I say Pelicans, you win, but against the Lakers, you're gonna lose to the Lakers. Okay, Lakers win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Warriors, Kings. I picked the Warriors. I'm like, one game, just one game. Sacramento may be better, but one game. For the Warriors to advance, I'm going to pick the Warriors. And Vinny, I promise you, this is true. I was watching last night. At one point, the Warriors were up, 8-5. It was like first few minutes of the game, 5-3, 8-6, whatever it is. And even in that moment, 2 minutes into the game, I said, "Oh, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I made a mistake.
Yep.
These dudes are slow of foot." Like what people don't remember, because Steph is so mesmerizing. And they got the great nickname, the Splash Brothers, and all the offensive wizardry. What people sometimes don't remember, who are not like paying close attention, defensively, the Warriors were tight. That's why I say the best team I've ever seen all around was either the 2017 or 2018 Warriors. It's not just KD on offense, Finals MVP. It's how tight they were defensively. They were an excellent defensive team. Last night, they looked old and slow of foot and just 2 steps behind, a second too late. And part of it is, you talk about Clay offensively. Clay defensively used to be really good, not so much anymore.
Yeah.
It's over. It is done. And so what do you do? Since it's over, what do you do? Do you keep playing this game, massage, bring all the guys back together? Or you move on from Clay, who was 0 for 10 last night?
Yeah.
0 for 10 and doesn't want to be the bench guy that you say he can be. He doesn't want that. He doesn't see himself that way. What do you do, Vinny? You're the general manager. What do you do with these Warriors?
I mean, I come to Clay on July 1st, hat in hand, and I say, "Hey, look, this is the offer that we have for you. And if you feel like you are a caliber starter in the league somewhere else, it's not like a hard and cold thing, but the Warriors are capped out in a way that doesn't allow them to do things. Like, they're up against the first tax apron. You have Chris Paul's $30 million non-guaranteed team option that you can either pick up and use as a trade option, or you can let him walk and sort of get the cap relief to deal with, but more old and slow. You know what I mean? More old and slow. Like I will say this. The more that people were celebrating online, like I was following the Twitterverse, after in the immediate aftermath of the game, waiting on the locker room to open and everything.
They were doing the ding dong, the witch is dead.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. And you know what that told me? Man, there were a lot of broken hearts and hurt feelings along the way. There were a lot of teams over the years of this decade, over parity, where you've had 5 NBA champions in the last 5 years, and you've had LeBron James team change teams, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4 times, since these guys have gotten together, not since they started winning, but since they've gotten together. You don't see things like this that endures. And you've seen so many teams get together to try to beat that man, not necessarily beat LeBron, but to beat that man. And they couldn't do it. And you can look at 2022 and say maybe ultimate anomaly. You could be right. You can say, man, this team has been in the play-in more times than not over the past 4 or 5 years. Okay, fine, so be it. But 4 championships in an age where it's not supposed to happen, in an age of salary caps and luxury tax aprons, where basically the NBA has legislated that they didn't want the Warriors to outspend other teams because of their deep pockets. Yeah, you going to celebrate, but them hurt feelings going to remain. But I don't know what the Warriors will do from here because they're in such a tricky spot, Michael. Steph is getting older, and you don't know. Last night he looked tired. He looked slow. I asked him about it, but he tried to say, hey, I could play Friday if I needed to. I feel fresh. I feel good. But you also have to figure out if Steph is not your best player on the championship team, and I have my doubts about that, what type of player do you put next to him to make the best of the rest of Stephen Curry's career as profitable and as successful for you as possible? Because that player ain't on this roster.
Yeah, right. Not on the roster. And I'm glad you said what you did about dynasties not lasting this long. And it was really impressive what they did. I know it's two different versions. I mean, their last championship team, obviously, no KD. Their first championship team, no KD. And then KD in the middle with those two. And I think even their post-KD championship team, which I saw up close. You want to talk about hurt feelings. People in Boston still smarting over that. Hey, we were up. We were up in game 4. We had a lead with 5 minutes to play. And then Steph Curry went crazy. He went crazy. He really did. It was one of the great games.
Yes, he did.
In finals history. It was awesome. But I think that even that could work if you could go to the fountain of youth. Like the formula works. The problem is age. So
yeah.
Steph Curry,
yeah.
I think Steph Curry is in a ageless, he's kind of like in some hyperbaric chamber. Something's going on. He's Benjamin Button.
You think so?
Okay, he's good. I do.
You think so?
I do. I don't think I don't see the age showing up on Steph Curry. I don't. You see it?
Oh yeah, I saw it. I think I saw it in the last month or so. Yeah. You look at it, you look
Is
at
that
his numbers.
age? Is that age? Or is that the coach not necessarily deploying the roster the way the roster needs to be deployed? Perhaps? Maybe is it relying too much on Steph?
Oh, yeah, but yeah, all those things point to age. All those things are code for age. The coach trying to save your body. You're not being able to overcome roster deficiencies. We've seen Steph do that earlier points in his career. We saw him do that 2 years ago. Remember that. His second best player was Andrew Wiggins, right?
Great year, though. All-star year for Wiggins that year. Great year.
Ish.
How you going to hate 2 years later? I understand hating now.
I was sober. I was sober. I was sober in that moment. But you know what I mean? And I think it's natural. I think, put it like this. LeBron James has turned what aging is into a different conversation. And that'll be a conversation. And that'll be a realistic conversation that we can have another day on, somewhere else, right? But Steph is not 6'9", 250 pounds, and can mask the physical decline with other things. Steph's decline will come at a point where he can no longer dip into that reservoir of energy where he can wear you down with pace and with movement. Those legs only have so much in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you need someone to make the game easier for you. And right now, that player is not on this roster. Maybe it was supposed to be Chris Paul. But Chris Paul's 127 years old. What the hell? He's supposed to, make
129
for somebody.
129, not even 127.
Yeah.
Like, how is he supposed to be the guy? But let me ask this last thing I'll say about the Warriors, because look, the bottom line is there's some. It says something about their dynasty that if we just go with the facts, they're the 10th seed on the road playing the 9 seed, and they lost. Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, oh, what's going on? That doesn't happen with normal. They're not a normal 10 seed. There's nothing normal about them. Because when the 10 seed plays the 9 seed tonight in the Eastern Conference, y'all really ain't going to care. They may not care in the city. The city the game is played in, they may not care all that much. So the Warriors have something special that still, no matter where they are, whether they're the 10th seed, number 1 seed, number 5, people are just drawn to them and what they're doing and their actions. I'll say one thing in their defense, because I was prepared to come on and I was going to say, they really screwed up in 2020 when they had the second pick and they took James Wiseman. That's the wrong guy.
Yeah.
But then I went back and looked at the draft. Vinny, Anthony Edwards went first. They're supposed to take LaMelo. Who are they supposed to take? I'm looking at the list of players here. I guess they should have known, like 11 other teams didn't, or 8 other teams didn't, that Tyrese Halliburton was going to be an all-star player, I guess. But Halliburton went 12th. So what should, I think it's easy to say they should have done this. Well, they and a lot of other teams really looked at the draft and missed some of the gems that were there, and they were not obvious at the time. They're obvious now. Like Aaron Nesmith is a good player now, but it took him a few years to be a good player. I don't know if he would have helped him. Like what's Tyrese Maxey? Yeah, who went at number 23 or number 21?
Yeah. I mean, here's what it is. It's not about the pick you made. It's about being insistent on holding on to it. It's about not maybe getting proper value for it. Like, this isn't 82, where the Lakers come off a championship and they draft James Worthy. You know what I'm saying? Number one. They got the choice between James Worthy and Dominique Wilkins. Like, you talked about different iterations of championship teams. That's the only way championship teams endure in professional sports. The team in your backyard, the New England Patriots, and I know football is totally different, but each of those championship teams, especially during that, 10-year gap where they didn't win anything, or 9-year gap, it was time for those teams to remake itself. And each championship team has its own heartbeat, has its own rhythm, has its own character, has its own identity. And so in 2020, they had the chance to, you know what? Maybe we're not going to do it with a young guy. We're not going to take James Wiseman just because he's here. Let's figure out if we can go into the marketplace and get something. But because they were trying to, granted, it's a pandemic. You just opened that building. You weren't sure what the world was going to look like. So you were looking for cost effectiveness. But sometimes when you're trying to win, man, you ain't winning in the balance sheets. You ain't winning with the nerds.
Oh, that's right.
You winning with dudes. Go get a dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That truer words have not been spoken, not just about basketball, but about industry. Really, sometimes you want to get to the top. It's not always the most cost-effective way won't get you there. You're gonna have to put some chips in there to really get to where you're trying to go. Now, you mentioned this guy earlier, because we'll be paying attention to the Warriors. This will not be our last Warriors conversation over the summer. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.